$1,500 a month. That's how much is quietly leaking out of your life right now. Not on rent, not on a car payment, not on something obvious, on stuff you barely remember buying. Here's what makes it worse. You don't feel reckless. You don't feel irresponsible. You feel normal. You work hard, you're stressed, you're tired, you tap your phone a few times, food shows up, a package arrives, a small charge hits your card. It's just $18, just $42, just $9.99. And somehow, by the end of the month, you're wondering why your bank account feels bruised. This isn't about budgeting apps. It's not about cutting coffee. It's about a system designed to make spending feel invisible. And the real damage isn't just the $1,500. It's what that $1,500 could have been doing instead. Because once we break this down, once you actually see where it's going, you're going to realize something uncomfortable. You're not broke because you don't make enough. You're broke because the leak feels harmless. And that's exactly why it's dangerous. Now let's talk about the part that's going to feel uncomfortably familiar. You wake up tired, you check your phone before your feet hit the floor. Notifications, emails, a sale that ends today. You didn't plan to spend anything. By 11 a.m., you grab coffee because you didn't sleep enough. That's $6. On the way home, you're too drained to cook. Delivery feels justified. That's $28. Later that night, you're scrolling. Someone your age just bought a house. Someone else is in Bali. You click on a hoodie you don't need. It's only $64. You deserve something nice. Nothing about this feels reckless. It feels earned. Here's the thing. These purchases aren't about the product. They're about relief. Relief from stress, relief from comparison, relief from boredom, relief from feeling behind. And relief is addictive. You're not trying to flex, you're trying to cope. But coping through consumption has a side effect. It keeps your lifestyle slightly inflated at all times. Not dramatically, just enough that saving feels impossible. And then the guilt creeps in. You check your account, you mentally promise to be better next month. You don't tell anyone you feel behind. You just quietly absorb it. This is why it hurts, because it doesn't look like self-sabotage. It looks like survival. But survival spending adds up. And this is where it gets ugly. Because the system knows exactly when you're most vulnerable to press that buy button. This isn't random. Your $1,500 leak isn't happening because you lack discipline. It's happening because friction has been removed from spending. Think about it. No cash, no physical exchange, no pause. One tap, Face ID, done. You don't feel the loss, you feel the reward. That's dopamine. Small, fast hits, delivered on demand. Now wait. Apps are engineered around your lowest energy moments. Late at night, after work, when you're bored, when you feel slightly inadequate. That's when ads get more tempting. That's when buy now, pay later shows up and splits the pain into 4 smaller numbers. 4 small numbers don't feel dangerous, but stacked together, they're lethal. Here's the trick. When a $200 purchase becomes 4 $50 payments, your brain logs it as manageable. It doesn't register the full cost. You get the item today, the consequence is delayed. And delayed pain is easy to ignore. Add automatic renewals. Add one-click checkouts. Add saved payment info. Add push notifications timed around paydays. You're not making conscious decisions. You're reacting. And reaction spending is the most expensive kind. Because when spending feels effortless, it multiplies. Now let's do the math you've been avoiding. Let's slow this down. This isn't one big, reckless purchase. It's layers. Food delivery 3 times a week at $30 each. That's $90 a week, roughly $360 a month. Coffee runs and quick convenience stops, call it $8 a day, 5 days a week. That's $160 a month. Random Amazon orders, 2 small purchases a week at $25. That's another $200. Buy now, pay later payments you barely track, maybe $250 a month. Streaming upgrades, app add-ons, digital tools you don't fully use, another $120. Impulse clothes, skincare, gadgets, I deserve this purchases, conservatively $400. We're already at $1,490, and none of that felt extreme. Now multiply $1,500 by 12. That's $18,000 a year. 5 years, $90,000. This is where it gets uncomfortable. If that money had been invested at a modest return, you're not just losing $90,000, you're losing the growth on it, the optionality, the freedom. That's a down payment. That's the ability to quit a job you hate. That's margin. Instead, it evaporates in exchange for short bursts of comfort you barely remember. And here's the part that stings. You don't feel like someone who spends $18,000 a year on nonsense, but the math doesn't care how you feel. Now let's talk about why this leak keeps you exactly where you are. Here's the deeper problem. When $1,500 disappears every month, you don't just lose money, you lose leverage. You tell yourself you can't negotiate salary yet, you can't take a risk, you can't switch careers, you can't move cities, because you don't have cushion. And without cushion, you tolerate things you shouldn't. You stay in jobs that drain you. You avoid uncomfortable conversations. You delay big moves. The leak quietly shrinks your courage. Now wait, you probably don't see yourself as financially irresponsible. You see yourself as stressed, busy, trying your best. That identity protects your behavior, because if the spending feels like coping, cutting it feels like punishment. So you keep the pattern. Small comforts, small relief, small dopamine hits. But the bigger identity shift is this. You're not someone who can't get ahead. You're someone funding temporary comfort instead of long-term control. That distinction matters, because once you see the leak as a trade-off between comfort and power, it stops feeling harmless. And this is where everything flips. This isn't about becoming extreme. It's not about never ordering food again. It's not about deleting every app. It's not about living like a monk. It's about awareness. Because once you see the 1,500 clearly, it stops being invisible. Here's the thing. You don't need to cut all of it. You need to reclaim part of it. Even redirecting $500 a month changes the trajectory. That's $6,000 a year. That's breathing room. That's negotiating power. That's options. Spending isn't the enemy. Unconscious spending is. When you choose the dinner intentionally, it feels different. When you plan the purchase, it doesn't own you. When you delay the impulse by 24 hours, half of them disappear on their own. This isn't restriction, it's control. And control is attractive. Control is calm. Control is powerful. The real flex isn't what shows up on your doorstep tomorrow. It's knowing you could walk away from a bad job, a bad deal, or a bad situation because you built margin. That $1,500 leak, it's not stealing your money, it's stealing your freedom. And now you can't say you didn't notice.